And we are go for audio. Hello and welcome to What Else Is On the... Yes, sorry. Brain fart. Come on, take two.
Every time.
What do I like? Okay, it's right. Wait, did I do it right? Hello and welcome to What Else Is On, the show on the Else Nerds Network where we talk about the TV and movies over the past 7 days. I'm Gregor Sprague, and laughing at me messing up is Corey Scott. Corey, how you doing?
I laugh at you because it makes me feel better when I mess up, which is all the time that you're not talking.
Yeah, so there's not really any news. We'll probably have a whole bunch of news next week once Comic-Con's done, and I'm fully ripping out my... Oh, wait, I already shaved my head because of covering that for the splash page. So we're just going to get right into it. But first, before we get into that, I want to share... I went to the eye doctor today because these glasses are like 6-7 years old and scratched up from normal wear and tear and all that stuff. And so I'm like, all right, let's do it. Turns out my eyes are like, I have 2015 vision. I can see better with, I already know I can see better with these, but better than most people can see and all that. And then I should have new glasses in a week or two-ish. And the glasses there, I guess my prescription has changed where I have just a smidge less of an astigmatism and in my left eye. And the vision's gotten better in my left eye just a little bit too. I'm like, oh, hey, cool. Maybe I will have one.
That is very nice. I don't have any of that. But I did... I started wearing glasses when I was pretty young. I got hit in the eye with a rock while playing on a baseball field at school. Somebody on third base just decided they didn't like second base very much. I don't know. Oh, wait, that was third base. So then I don't know that... I have a very low attention span, obviously. You see me here. So the doctor is sitting there and he's showing me all these different things, like which looks better, which looks worse, and I don't think I was paying very much attention. So it's just like, I don't know. Sure, that one. Sure, okay. And so my glasses made my eyes really bad. and of course, I was going to get glasses anyways. My parents, both of them, wear glasses. I have astigmatism. I have pretty bad astigmatism now, but I don't know if I just like made my eyes worse because I was wearing terrible glasses at such a young age. But when I was 16, right about the time that I got my braces removed, that nobody knew that I wore braces for the year that I had them, I stopped wearing my glasses. I got gas-permeable hard lens contact lenses, and I wore them off and on, but I have a really weird thing about touching my eyeball, so it was hard for me to put them in. And since they were hard lenses, I had to take them out every night. I cannot wear extended wear to this day. I just can't. So I did the things that you're not supposed to do, like sleeping with them in and forgetting about them, and I didn't take very good care of them. And so finally one day I just stopped wearing them altogether. For several years I didn't wear glasses at all, and I got away with it because I didn't drive. I just, had other friends who would drive, or I didn't do anything that required me to see. For like a good 4 years, lens-free. And then one day I started wearing them again because of a job, and then I was stuck. I've had to wear them ever since. So it may be that you are at that perfect zenith where you could get away with not wearing your glasses more and more and only have to wear them for specific things like reading or something.
No, because I'm nearsighted, so it's one of those, like, if I were to take, like, here, if I'm taking this off right now, and, like, my name right there in the lower third blur, like, I can't see, like, so it's like I'm gonna need these glasses for a very long time and all that. But no, it's funny enough because there was last year when I was going to getting all these eye stuff done because with the migraines that I had, they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to get your eyes dilated and you're gonna hate it. And I'm like, I actually loved it because I could see without my glasses. It was only far away, but I could see. Like I'm sitting in the office, I went with my grandma, and like she was like right after me, and I'm sitting there going, I can watch Steve Harvey. I can't read my comic book. Oh, I'm sad. Because it instantly stopped me from being nearsighted to farsighted. I'm like, ah.
Yeah, I will say that being, I guess it's farsighted because I can see things close up, but I can't see them far away.
Nearsighted.
Okay, I'm nearsighted. So I can see things when they're really close, but if I look at stuff that's like down the street signs and stuff, unless I can make out the shapes, I don't know what they say. But I squinted a lot. that was something I didn't realize, is that while I was standing there not wearing glasses, that I would like always squint. And my eyes are already kind of small as it is. I don't keep them very wide open, so I have to break that habit. I have to consciously think about having my eyes open, just like I have to consciously think about breathing. I forget a lot of stuff that I'm supposed to do. Those natural body functions I would just kind of ignore.
Yeah, mine was similar, where like I'll squint if I have my glasses off. I'll sit there. I'll try to squint to see and stuff. So it's just, and that'll usually mess up my eyes even worse. Or I'll sit there. I'll go like this and like squint.
Yeah,
Like,
do
I get it.
the lid thing.
Yeah.
Yep, that
So
means you're probably going to be due for bifocals at some point, like I just got. Yay, getting old.
But enough about getting old and all that stuff. Let's get into the shows. So, you want to talk about True Detective?
Yeah, just because last week's True Detective kind of blew my mind with the ending, and then this week's True Detective sort of blew my mind with the opening in that it was very David Lynchian.
Okay.
It was so wonderfully Lynch that it was obviously an homage. At the same time, it was kind of a rip-off. It was like, oh, okay, I can't believe he's going full Lynch here. But, hey, if you're going to do it, just go for it and do it. So, in the end of last week's episode, I try not to spoil it on the show, but one of the characters was shot. And then in this episode, that character is talking to another person, and there's music playing, and the music is... they always do it. Conway Twitty from Family Guy.
Yeah.
And they're playing Conway Twitty, and the Conway Twitty person is sort of singing and doing a performance in the background of this bar where the character is sitting at, talking to another person, and that other person's like, well, you were here before I got here. So you think that this is the death, like the after-death scene for this character. And then it turns out, no, it didn't actually happen. The character was not actually killed as we were led to believe, which is sort of a cop-out, but at the same time makes sense for the fact that there are 4 leads for the show, and killing one in the second episode, which would be ballsy as hell, and which is part of why I was so blown away by it, it makes sense that they didn't do that. That is, we're getting into a familiar territory if HBO shows are about killing their main characters all the time.
Hasn't happened in Ballers yet.
Well,
as far as I know.
Who knows? It was just a very strange thing to start out with, and then the episode kind of went on from there. I don't know if the show is necessarily improving as much as I've sort of gotten used to who the characters are, and I have more of an idea of where the story is going. That first episode was so nothing. By the second episode, when things start to move along, you definitely feel momentum, which is better. But I don't want to trick myself into thinking that this is a good season yet. I have read the reviews from the first episode, the people who had seen the first 3 and said by the third episode it starts to get good. I feel like it's good. It's still not a work of genius. It's not like how we were talking about True Detective last season. Last season, True Detective was a water cooler show. And I'm not hearing people talk about it in the same respect this season. In fact, I've seen a lot of people check out. Which is fine. I think that the expectations of one season, it's kind of good to quell them in the second one so that you can kind of keep people level. I would like to see it get better, or I'd like to see it make more sense. I think the performances are fine. A lot of people are frustrated with Vince Vaughn because he's Vince Vaughn and we're used to seeing him in certain things in a certain way that it may be more difficult to take him seriously now. I've always kind of looked at Vince Vaughn going back to one of the first things that I noticed him in, which was Clay Pigeons, where he was uber creepy, but in a funny sort of way. I can see dark Vince Vaughn. As much as I've seen him in things like Dodgeball and in Old School, and then the terrible, terrible comedy follow-up since then, I still have a respect for Vince Vaughn from where he started, certainly from Swingers, which was great, but I hold that more in my heart because of Jon Favreau. I don't think he's bad in this. I just don't know that it's really terrific television yet. It's kind of got a lot of stereotypes in it. It goes a little off the rails at points, which I don't know is necessarily planned to like keep you on your toes, or if it's just accidental. Like, wow, I can't believe somebody thought that was the right scene to make. Overall, though, I'm still tuning in, and that may be dedication because of last season, even though the ending for last season wasn't great. It was still a worthwhile season to watch a TV. I'm hoping that this is going to be comparable in some respect, maybe give us a better ending, and that might be what makes it all worthwhile. But
Yeah.
overall, yeah, it was weird to see this big moment that they had at the end of the one episode turn into a weird moment and then a non-moment. But I'm okay with it for the fact that I think the story is getting a little bit better.
Yeah. So, let's go to. Are you watching Humans, the AMC show?
No.
All right. So I'm gonna talk real quick about Humans. Because I've seen the second episode now, and it's really. This is really really good. Like cue Patrick Beja soundboard on the over on the morning stream, but it's really really good. Um, you have this whole developing thing with, and this is the second episode. This whole developing thing with the synthetics, like starting an uprising of sorts, and that's the wrong word. But there's this group of synthetics of these robots, androids, that they've they've been hacked and whatnot to where they are fully they have a conscience in a way, um, and the and as you're watching this go along, there's this one that we met in the first episode who she's basically a sex bot, like she's basically like a robot prostitute, and we see her come in now into the second episode. This seems like you could have stretched this out for episode 4, but it's the second episode, and she's escaped. She's killed the dude that wanted to have kinky sex with her, probably cheating on his wife with the robot, and escaped. Like I'm like, this is episode 2. You either have nothing for episode 6 and you're going to burn yourself out in 2 episodes, or it's going to be really good.
Well, I
Like,
mean,
just mind-blowingly good.
it's sort of like that's a given expectation for a show like this. If you have a sex robot and your show is about robots in general, you're kind of assuming at some point they're going to rise against mankind. It's never just going to be the show about, well, we've all got robots, everything's great. Certainly not an AMC.
Yeah.
So unless they teach all the robots to fight the Walking Dead for them.
Sorry, I just remembered some news that came out, and that was, but it was comic book related. So we would have to do the comic book show to talk about this. So I'll talk about that. But no, yeah, it's like the actress, the character who was played by the actress who played Jen from IT Crowd. I'm not liking her character, but I don't know but I think I'm not supposed to like her. Like, I think that's how they have it set up, because she's paranoid about the synth, as they're called, that's in her house, and it's like, you have nothing to worry about. She's doing everything. It's like you're almost implanting a lot of the things into the robot. Now, granted, some of the things that she's hitting at are actually what the robot's doing. Like, the episode ended last week, like the pilot, with the synth carrying their youngest child down the road, and you're like, she just kidnapped while being undercover? What is going on here? Sort of deal. And we see this play out through the second episode. All in all, I love this show. We're actually coming to an interesting time here where we're getting more British shows on networks other than BBC America, which is great. Again, because we'll hit on that on Starts and Stops with one of the shows, which is created by the creator of Skins. actually created both versions, the American and the English, but we don't talk about the American version.
Well, just remember, it's only paranoia when the toaster oven isn't actually trying to kill you. So that's something to keep in mind in shows like this. Is like, oh my God, you're thinking these things and you're just making them come true. Well, yeah, but then they do come true. So I'd rather be the one standing there with the rifle and a can opener.
Yeah. So let's do our Big Brother talk. Speaking
of paranoia.
Yeah. Like, I think I made the comment last week of, what's her name? Devon?
Mama Day. Yep.
Yeah, Mama Day being the next Devon. I think
yes.
we got a handful of them. Like, I think we got...
There is some people come into Big Brother and it behooves them to not be the super fan. Because everybody who's a super fan, and at this point in time, if you're going on a show like Big Brother, you've watched Big Brother, you've probably seen a few seasons of it going into it. That's probably what got you to try out in the first place. At the very least, when you find out you're possibly going to be on it, you want to try to catch up somewhere. But every super fan starts thinking, oh, this is the person who is conniving and underhanded and lying about everything. And it's like, no, dude's just a dentist who yells in the diary room.
It sounds like Bobcat
missing
Goldthwait.
The fact that there's twins in there. Yeah, that's exactly right. I said that to Aaron.
I thought about that. I'm like,
Bobcat Goldthwait.
I even pulled Mom in because she quit watching, like, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm like, Mom, listen to this guy. Does he not sound a little bit like Bobcat Goldthwait? She's like she hadn't heard Bobcat Goldthwait in a while, but I'm like, it's just with how he talks.
Yeah, he just kind of like he really gets excited about certain words, and then he kind of breaks off in other parts, and his voice, the pitch is inflected. I assume he's probably watched too many Police Academy movies. Yeah. So, and then we had the Audrey situation where she started pulling everybody into the, like, we're having problems with our alliance.
It's unprecedented. Let's have a 16-person alliance.
Yeah, I know. It was so great. I'm like, did you not watch last season? Like, things aren't working. Hold on a second. Go grab a person, come back up. I'll be right back. Go grab a person, come back up, and everyone's just, what are you doing?
The only way that
getting pulled up are like, I don't want to go.
Yeah, the only way that strategy ever works is if you are putting your finger in a dike, and I'm talking about the dam thing over in Europe, not of another.
We'll let that one go. We'll let that one just.
That's the only way that works. Is if you're sitting there like the little boy in that nursery rhyme, put your finger in there, like, I need more help, and you like get someone here and you put your finger in there. You run and go get more people. That's the only time that strategy ever works. I let her dodgeball.
It was totally, and then Audrey also went off the rails with just telling people lies and starting rumors without having any kind of plan. Like saying, oh, Vanessa is starting a whole group of the women alliance, even though that's what Audrey had done with Devon and with Shelley from the very beginning.
The problem with that is she tries to throw it off on other people when it was her.
But she had no backup for it. She had no way. She didn't say to the room, oh, well, I heard someone say Vanessa's doing this. She's like, no, Vanessa is starting this and everything. So if she had said, oh, Devon told me this, then it's the your word against my word thing. But all I heard from her was, you told us this, and now you're saying that you didn't tell us this and that Devon said it, but we heard you. And she just pointing the finger at everybody and saying, oh, you're all pathological. It's like, no, lady, we know who's pathological here.
Yeah, which works brilliantly for Liz and I'm blanking on the sister. Which works perfectly for the twins.
Liz and Julie, I think.
Yeah, Liz and Julie. Because I think they're playing as Julie.
No, they're playing as Liz.
Oh, they're playing as Liz? All right. Because this is like the one, like, to make it, 2 5 weeks, this is perfect. She has enough distractions out there that if something were to get caught, that you're like, whatever. Like,
yeah,
hey, look,
no
Audrey's a liar.
No eyes are on her except for on her space pants. She is totally in the clear right now, which is great because there is enough infighting already between Devon and everybody because Devon doesn't trust a single person, and then Audrey and everybody because Audrey can't be trusted by a single person, and now even Shelley and Clay kind of conspiring against the rest of the people saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna backdoor Audrey," but Audrey's, and that's all I have to say is like, Audrey's a target for another day because everybody wants to get her out. So getting someone else out who isn't as big of a target makes more sense for us.
Yeah.
For our game especially, but just in general for the house. It's not like Devon is a winning personality there. It's just that Audrey's a much bigger target. But as a bigger target, no one's going to listen to her for the next week and a half that she's there. She could go 3 weeks from now, and it's still like over that 3 weeks, nobody's going to actually listen to her and trust her at her word, so she's harmless. She's just kind of a space eater. And you always put her up against the person who you want to get home, because if for some reason they get themselves off the block, well, at least we finally got Audrey out. So I get the idea behind it. It's just, yeah, it's sort of a power move. It's not a great power move, but I at least understand why. I'm either one of them. Both of them need to go home at this point.
Yeah.
Anybody else is just kind of fodder. There's nobody else who's really a good enough player, a strong enough player, and starting crap yet. Jace was weak. Everybody just kind of determined that Jace was a strong player. I never saw it. He didn't perform like it.
No, Jace was just a mouth. Like,
yeah,
Jace had the social.
Annoying.
Yeah, Jace had the social game going. Jace would sit, which I'm assuming, and Jace would sit there and it's like, hey, let's rally the troops, but they didn't really like hearing that or hearing him or whatever, and so they're like, yeah, bye-bye, sort of deal. Which I don't know. I mean, Jace. I feel like Jace could have been in there for a little while longer.
I think Jace was just the loudest one in the room, and so he got the wrong kind of attention, and that led to them saying, "Oh, we should get him out now because he's strong." No, he's not a strong competitor because he didn't win. He's a dude, but he was also he's one of those heart on his sleeve kind of guys. I don't know if he would have ever turned around.
I mean, to be fair, though, we only saw him in one competition. Like, he was...
Right.
Because he ended up not playing for the veto because he got backdoored. He wasn't on the block at all, period, so he wasn't in battle of the block.
But its cluelessness shows how weak he was as a player.
Yeah.
He had no idea that he was being set up at all. And it's obvious. It's more obvious as a watcher. But it really seems like you're seeing that he was so straight ahead with him and Austin being buddies, and there was no hiding that. It was as obvious as Clay and Shelley was. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, there's our power teams for the season is Clay and Shelley and Austin and Jace. They're the ones who are a couple, and we've got to break them up at some point. Yeah, so when he's so blatantly right there of like, we're a team, then the cards are on the table. Do you break up that team now, or do you wait until later on? Does it get stronger? Does it not? They weren't playing the game yet.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know how this is going to go for this next season, or for this next week, because we haven't seen the addition of the Last Laugh come in to play yet.
Yeah, Kathy Griffith's wild card.
Yeah, which I think comes in Wednesday, is when it would be. And that's an interesting concept to me because of the fact that, like, if the right person gets that, like, if Audrey gets that, or Devon gets that, Mama Day gets that, that's a game changer.
It can be, as long as they know who would be on their side and who isn't on their side. If Audrey gets it, but the whole house is voting against her, except for two people, it doesn't really change the game for her. Because the only
Yeah.
people who would vote to get her out are Chase, Shelley. I don't know if she would get a vote this week or not, because she's head of household. I don't know if there's enough. If it's even, okay, so it's probably odd this week, so she would get a vote as a tiebreaker. But Chase
But yeah, but
and
if the three
the dentist
vote,
and the other
because
guy are the only ones who would vote to keep her.
yeah, I don't think if the power was used, I don't think the HOH would get a vote because you'd basically have the numbers of week 4, I want to say, which would be, I don't know, something like that. I had the math working in my head. I'm like, yeah, I don't think this would be a one where a tie would happen.
Yeah.
But no, this is interesting. So far this twist thing seems to be working. The whole BB takeover.
The takeover
They
thing
didn't-
is just we have to throw as many twists as possible at you this season.
Yeah,
We don't have any one big twist that's going to work.
Yeah, and I mean they need to work on the live show audio because there was a good 3 minutes there where you heard nothing. You didn't even hear them chatting and memorizing. Oh, Jace, he was so loud, and you don't even hear him go, "Get ready!" Doing the whole takeover jingle. It's like, yeah, you're not doing this well here. Come on, you've been doing this for what 21 seasons now, 27 something or 17 seasons, something like you've done it long enough.
They've been doing it for a while, but live is always tricky. And,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they switch up. Oh, we're going to go to this next, and then they run low on time, and they realize they can't do that. And they're still they're fitting more into the show, too, which is the other thing, is having this stuff where they have the 2 competitions as opposed to just the 1 veto competition, where it's the teams and then it's the veto, means at least we're getting full episodes. Because it was really dull the nights that they do the nominations. It's like a lot of background stuff, and then they get to the nominations, and you get through that, and then it's the music plays, and they go walking off. This at least gives you more action during the week, but that'll stop once there's enough people out of the house.
Yeah, but then it's usually the stuff that you would see on Thursday, for the drama stuff would go over there, and then they'd start doing the fluff pieces of how the family members enjoying the showmance,
right,
or whatever. At that time, I will say though, mentioning Big Brother and how long it's been on so long that one of the moments, because I've been trying to catch the month of Zen when I had nothing to do, was all caught up. So basically up until Wednesday, then I started falling behind on TV and comic books and all that stuff. And they actually had one of the segments from 2000, 2001-ish of Big Brother, and they played it like a hostage situation. This is a long time ago. This is way before I even heard of The Daily Show. I don't even think I had Comedy Central at the time. But they're like, yeah, it's the first season, and they mention people like, oh, Chicken George, and that I think Dr. Will was in that. I don't remember.
Will would have been the second season.
Well, okay, yeah, but it's like some of them I recognize some of them people, and just standing out there, I'm like, wow, the set has changed so much, from them being in here, and all this stuff, the first couple seasons, it actually looked like a small sound stage that they were on.
The first season, the outdoors were literally outdoor, and so there was problems where people would hire planes to fly over the house and fly banners over the house to give messages to the people inside. So they nixed that as they went on. So now
so they're not inside now, or
they're not outside now.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I didn't know that, because I thought the outside part, it was at least they're on the sound studio or whatever, but they could go up and see sky.
Yeah, people found out where things were, and so they were flying planes over it. It was weird. It was kind of like, okay, that was unexpected, and they were telling people not to trust certain people. But But the first season was also really boring. There were parts where their competitions were do this puzzle. It was not a competition show as much as, somebody will win some money at the end, but they didn't have the vetoes and all those other things that they were really competing over, like hardcore competing. It didn't get that until later on. Like, it got a lot more cutthroat under Dr. Will in the second season.
Yeah, which is understandable. But no, see, I've been catching the month of Zen when at all possible. So here, let's do starts and stops as I get this all set up, because I'm trying to do the whole thing of right there, of that. And here it is. This is starts and stops for July 7th through the 13th. Starting on July 7th at 9 p.m. on FYI, you have the 2-hour series premiere of The 7-Year Switch. E has the 4th season premiere of Total Divas. And then at 10 p.m. on NBC, you have the 3rd season premiere of Hollywood Game Night. On Wednesday, July 8th at 9 p.m. on IFC is the 2nd season premiere of The Spoils Before Dying. At 10 p.m. on Comedy Central is the 4th season summer premiere of Key and Peele. And then at 10:30 on Comedy Central is the series premiere of Y with Hannibal Buress. On Thursday, July 9th at 9 p.m. is the series premiere on the CW of Dates. 10 p.m. on Spike TV is the 1st season summer premiere of Lip Sync Battle with Alison Brie versus Will Arnett. And on Friday, July 10th at 3:01 a.m. on Netflix is a special presentation, Chris Tucker Live. 8 p.m. on CW, you have the 5th season premiere of Masters of Illusion. At 9:30 p.m. on IFC is the 2nd season finale of The Spoils Before Dying. At 10 p.m. on HGTV is the 2nd season finale of Tiny House Hunters. On Saturday, July 11th at 9 p.m. on CMT is the special presentation Morgan Spurlock Presents Freedom, the movie. And at 11:15 on BBC America is the 17th season finale of The Graham Norton Show. Sunday, July 12th at 8 p.m. on MTV is the 2015 MTV Fandom Awards. And then at 9 p.m. on Showtime is the 3rd season premiere of Ray Donovan. Fox Sports 1 has the 3-hour 21st season finale at a special night of The Ultimate Fighter, American Top Team versus Black Zillions from Las Vegas. And at 10 p.m. on Showtime is the 3rd season premiere of The Masters of Sex. On Monday, July 13th at 9 p.m. on FYI is the 2nd season summer premiere of Tiny House Nation. And at 10:01 p.m. on NBC is the 2nd season premiere of Running Wild with Bear Grylls. So I forgot to mention the that one Adult Swim show that appeared in there, because I did that and just randomness. But yeah, and the date that CW show Dates is the one that I was mentioning that was created by the creator of Skins, both the American and British version, and there was another one that I can't remember right at this moment. But yeah, and so now let's check out the movie draft update, where, hey Evan, hope you enjoyed first place while it lasted. That's basically all I'll say. And oh, come on, don't freeze on me. Corey, you want to give us the numbers? Well, my
Yeah,
computer's frozen.
so considering the holiday weekend and how things kind of pitched around, Gregor right now is ranked at number 4 with 489.6 million.
Oh wait, crap.
Magic Mike XXL was XX Forgotten. Then Beatmaster is still at number 3. I think he'd moved up. Did he move up this week, or was he at 3 last week?
He was in 3rd last week.
So Beatmaster is at 556.5 million. Still
With
running
only one
strong
movie.
with one film, with Jurassic World.
This is an interesting thing, and me and Beatmaster were talking about this before. I've had 7 movies come out, and he's outperforming me with 1. And this is all the more reason why we need to get the Galactic Netcast crew in here for the winter.
Yeah, so they can also steal our thunder. Evan has moved down to 2nd place at 663.5 million, with all of his movies have come out. And then I have somehow snuck my way up into 1st place, mostly thanks to, at this point in time, besides the number of films I have, by the fact that while it's not winning at number 1, Inside Out has been performing in the number 2 spot pretty consecutively since it came out, following up Beatmaster's one movie with Jurassic World. So I have 693.8 million. So I'm only 30 million ahead of Evan. But since I still have 2 movies left and quite a few of my movies are still out, trickling in whatever they have, it's much more in line with Beatmaster, who has 3 movies coming up, including Minions, which is coming out this Friday, and then Ant-Man, which will come out the next week on the 16th, I think. And then he finishes up with Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Gregor, you still have Fantastic Four, Man from U.N.C.L.E.
I still got Trainwreck. Yeah, I still got
Trainwreck.
Trainwreck, Paper Towns, and then Fantastic Four and Man from U.N.C.L.E. So, like, me and you are fairly even on, like, or no, actually, I got twice as many movies as all you guys. But will my 4 movies make enough money to surpass you guys?
Right, and
so.
since my 2 movies are Pixels and Vacation, which I haven't seen much of anything about Vacation, other than the fact that it's sort of a relaunch of the series with Ed Helms taking over the character of Rusty Griswold. And I guess Beverly D'Angelo and Chevy Chase are going to cameo as their original characters. But Pixels, I can't say that I have faith in Pixels as much as the effects look great in it. It's still an Adam Sandler, Kevin James movie. So I just have no idea on that one. And since Terminator Genesis really underperformed this weekend, I don't expect it to help me squeak any more out. So I'm inclined to think that Beatmaster may have this.
It's interesting. I don't think Evan has it because, and it's no offense to Evan. I mean, I love all you guys, but Evan's only got Selfless. That movie looks like it's gonna be a suck town. Just total like garbage, and so I mean, and especially when it shares the same weekend as Minions. No one's. No, the only people who are going to go see Selfless are the people who went and saw Minions opening night. And they're like, let's go to the movies again. And they want to see something different than Minions. Myself, I'm shooting to not be last with my 4 movies. That's what I got here. The one I think will probably do it the most is Paper Towns because of it being, another Hank. Is it Hank or John? Which one? Which one of the Greens? It being one of the John Green book. There we go. Just like how Fault in Our Stars was a sneaky success last year. That's what I'm hoping for with Paper Towns, and it's got the Enchantress from Suicide Squad in there. So there you go. That's the nerd play right there. It's got Cara Delevingne. Fantastic Four. I'm still iffy on it. I think I would like the movie, but I'm usually not in the majority. So
I have to say that I am slightly, and only slightly, more interested in Fantastic Four than I am Batman v Superman. But that's because my threshold for Batman v Superman is so low at this point that I can't really hold any hope for it. And that's not a slam on the movie's quality. It's just a slam on my interest in it.
You should try reporting on it daily.
Oh God, no! I mean, I'll tell people what is being said about it, but
here's the thing. You will plug people to me over at Black Netcast, where I'm reporting on it. Like, it's getting to that point where I'm going, like, I did this with Suicide Squad, where it's like, unless there's something, like, officially from the studio or something that remotely interesting, here's more set photos. I'm done reporting on Suicide Squad. It's slowly getting up there, especially with, hey, we're at Comic-Con season or time. Let's start announcing all this stuff and just, no. Can we not? And then Image Expo also happened. No, so
announcing would be great. I mean, I keep seeing all this stuff leaking about Ant-Man too, and I've said before, I don't want anything else to leak about Ant-Man. I just want to see Ant-Man. The one thing that I read that was cool was the new director basically saying how much stuff was kept because of how he was excited about the things that Edgar Wright was doing with it before he even got there. He's like, obviously this scene's in there because you can just look at it and you know that this is Edgar Wright. He's like, I saw this stuff and I thought it was fantastic, and I had to keep going with it. I thought it was great. You know, so he's trying to pay due to the guy who started the project, who got it off the ground in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the right thing to do. It may be underselling himself a little bit with his role as director of the film, but I think that's okay. I think it's nice to pay homage to the guy who really put a lot of the work in, and who a lot of people feel got unfairly screwed on it. Now, he walked away from it himself, but we saw the director of Selma say that she was not going to be doing the Black Panther movie, and she had nothing but respectful things to say about Marvel and about what Marvel's doing, but that situation of trying to direct a Marvel movie is difficult. It's excruciating. The guy who directed Terminator Genesis complained about his directing of Thor and how much of a nightmare he had trying to work with Marvel and the Thor stuff. And I get it. It's not going to be for everybody, and it is unlike any other kind of movies out there. DC's trying to do this, but DC doesn't have the record yet to be able to do all that pull. You look at the stuff that has to do with Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, and it looks very different from Suicide Squad, even though they are tying those things together.
Mm-hmm.
So, tonally, it would be great if they did have different kinds of films. It's just that everything that they say about their movies is, no, we're not going for humorous tone. We're not going for this. You know, we want dark, brooding heroes. We want a Batman who's world-weary. It's like, wow, that's exactly what I don't want. But, okay, you know, if you think that's going to work for you, sure, go all in on it. But
yeah,
I'm not giving Marvel a pass on the fact that they may be difficult to work with. What they get the pass on is that what they're doing is bigger than just making a movie by itself or a trilogy of movies, or even, you know, working with Star Wars. It's something that it's so many different hands in it that you have to have a very strong person on top or multiple people at the top who are shaping things and who are going to give you different expectations than you would get if you were directing just your own film. So I think that that's worked for them, and it, frankly, is a little more exciting to me. But the only reason why it's really exciting to me is because all their damn movies have been so good. I spent the 4th of July, I woke up and Iron Man 3 was on, and then Captain America the Winter Soldier came on. What?
I don't see that here on your list of
No, because I came in partway through it. But then Captain America the Winter Soldier came on. And then Captain America the Winter Soldier came on. And then Captain America the Winter Soldier came on. And then Captain America the Winter Soldier came on. Now, it came on one more time, but I only watched it the 4. There's only been one other time that I've watched the same movie 4 times in one day. And that movie was Ghost. And that was pushed on me by my friend Nicole. And I'm mad at her about it to this day. And that was like 20 years ago. I gave her crap about it today, actually, on Facebook. But Ghost is just a snuff film that didn't pay off. Captain America the Winter Soldier, I enjoyed so much that I kept watching it over and over again. And yeah, I did some shopping partway through one of them, and I did some cooking partway through another one. But I kept watching the damn movie, and I didn't really feel that bad about it. And then by the time the 5th one started, I realized that FX was playing the original Captain America, the First Avenger, and I turned over to that and I watched it. And I would have gone back and watched Thor: The Dark World because that's what came out encore after. I just was already feeling kind of run down at that point. But
you're describing the Winter Soldier the way I think about Guardians of the Galaxy. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, which is on Stars right now. I can sit there and watch it over and over and over again.
And I almost did because I was playing on Saturday as well. I almost switched over to that, but it didn't line up timing-wise. If the movie had ended and Guardians had started, even though I could have put it on demand, I mean, I have the opportunity. I own the DVD or the Blu-ray. Yeah. I could have done so many things. I didn't because it was like, I'm just keep watching Captain America. I realized while I was watching it, and maybe even beforehand, that Chris Evans as Captain America is, to me today, what Christopher Reeve as Superman was to me in the 70s and 80s. He has
I can
made
see
me
that.
believe in that character. He's made me believe in Captain America. You know, as much as I love the other movies, I love Iron Man, which is weird because I hated Iron Man as a character, but I loved the character once Robert Downey Jr. played him. But I don't go
Yeah.
reading Iron Man stuff. I look at Captain America now with this sense of hope and upliftedness and heroism and belief that I used to attribute to Christopher Reeve as Superman. You know, and I know that these are actors and they're just playing a part, but those movies are done so well, and the way he plays the character is done so well. Even the smaller views of it in the Avengers movies, he's just so good in it that I'm totally 100% bought in.
Hey, I'm gonna point something out here. You just got poked by a Beatmaster to remind you of Snowpiercer.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a holiday for snow.
Yeah, and no, and also here's the other thing. I just realized after I said about the whole thing about Guardians, I realized on Saturday, which was the 4th of July, and while I was out there on the lake with my mom, her boyfriend, and a lot of his family, I'm sitting there listening to the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack on my
Yes.
phone. Because I'm sitting there going, and I think the song I left off on, which was it I'm Not in Love, that one.
Hmm.
That started playing in my head after I mentioned it. Like, God, because that's the problem. With anytime I mention Guardians of the Galaxy or think of it, boom, songs will just get stuck in my head,
Yeah,
which is
that's a huge
cool.
deal. That is a
Yeah.
huge deal, and that again goes to James Gunn's ability as a writer, is that he integrated that music into that movie so well, and it's just a perfect piece of Americana. It's an excellent film, and again, you know, give him more leeway because it was the first one of its franchise, and it got to stand apart from the other Marvel movies to a certain degree, but still had some caveats that he had to make to include a connectiveness to that. And his second movie is probably not going to be as easy as the first one to pull that stuff off on. They have faith in him, they have a belief in what he did, but in the end, he's still got to make movies that are going to connect to Captain Marvel. They're going to have to connect to Infinity War, to all
Hmm.
these other things. In some way or another, he's going to have to play that game too. And I think he is the kind of guy who enjoys the challenge. He saw Ant-Man and gave it a rave review. He was super excited by it.
Yeah.
I think he's into what he's doing here, and he's glad to be a part of this. And I'm not saying that Joss Whedon wasn't, but I'm saying that Joss Whedon is someone who has gotten very far by being able to control his own destiny. You know, by creating Buffy and creating Angel and creating Firefly and creating Dollhouse and Cabin in the Woods. Joss's best stuff is when Joss is in control. And he had
Yeah.
more control with the Avengers than he had with Age of Ultron, and I think you could see it and you could feel it in the
Hmm.
way that the films came out. Uh, and that I get. That is the nightmare of working for Marvel. While he didn't quite put it that way, he was pretty straight about his feelings of, I wanted this in, they wouldn't let me have it. And I wanted this in, they said I could only have it if I did this other thing. And he's like, and it felt like I was being held hostage in making this movie. And yeah, that makes a certain degree of sense. And again, I would rather give the artists control of the art almost any time, but I see why the caveats are there. And I respect Joss in the fact that he knows it, you know, and he did what he had to do. And he also knew that he was done. He had made his two giant Avengers movies and was ready to step off to do whatever he wants to do next. And I think that's a tribute to him as a person, as he didn't leave there and just start a bitch fest. He shot his mouth off a little bit, but he shot his mouth off respectfully.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, I'm worn out. I need a break. And he took it. I have hero worship for the guy. I fully admit that. I still do. I have
Well,
no
okay,
ill
okay.
will for that.
We'll put it to the listeners and viewers this way: if the dude has enough stuff to warrant a channel on Pluto TV. Now, again, when I was watching, it was just playing Agents of Shield and stuff like that. But I mean, I think that's a pretty big deal because the only other people I know of that have it where it's multiple things, not just their show, I think could possibly be Conan, and that's if you separate um, his TBS show from like pirated episodes that are put up of his late night show or his 3 month stint on the Tonight Show or whatever, like because I think all the other ones that I see that are on there are well, okay, maybe Neil deGrasse Tyson, but I mean, come on. Because like everyone else is there, and it's like, oh, it's clearly just clips from their one show, not, oh well, we're gonna throw in Agents of Shield, and then a little bit of Dollhouse, a little bit of Firefly, just to make you cry. We'll play the Serenity movie, and God, it still gets me too when I hear like they'll do that on the morning stream, like the dude who does the voiceover stuff, be like, I'm a leaf on the wind. I'm like, oh, you asshole. Come on. Why are you going to make me have the feels? So, convince me, now, because I've sort of given up on Killjoys. Like, I think Killjoys might be the one, like, if I hear of like, oh, you need to start watching it again, it's getting really good. Convince me to try Dark Matter.
Well, okay, so here's the thing, is Beatmaster watched Killjoys this week and said that it was the better episode of the season so far. I have not watched this week's episode yet. I have it recorded, and I went to watch it, but then I remembered that Beatmaster had said that he was liking Dark Matter more, and like me, he enjoys the ensemble cast, the larger cast, in these things, which I have compared Killjoys to Firefly in tone and in setting. And I felt like that's one of the things that was missing from it, is the fact that the cast is just 3 people. So I watched Dark Matter to see, what Beatmaster was talking about. So up yours about Snowpiercer. And unfortunately, it was the premiere episode. It was the pilot, and the pilot is always setup. It's an interesting setup. The conceit is that these people wake up coming out of stasis on the spaceship, and none of them remember who they are, why they're there, where they are. And it's 6 characters, and they're all named with numbers because of the order of how they woke up. And we're trying to find out a little bit about who these characters are as they go along. They activate a self-defense system on the ship, and it comes and attacks them in the form of a female android. And they manage to defend themselves and reactivate the android to be a protector of them and to help guide them with the ship. And then they go on to what they think is a mission where they're protecting these people from these raiders and marauders, and then it turns out that they're the raiders and marauders. They are all effectively prisoners, criminals, and they were sent to do destructive things to this place, essentially. So we don't get a lot of answers about what the story is until the last couple minutes of it. And then it's just the answers to certain questions so that you now ask the bigger questions and what comes next. So as a pilot, it's a pilot. You get the entryway, but you don't really know who the characters are. They're not too developed yet. But I can see that next step being them growing a little bit more, getting more interesting. There was certainly some funnier parts, and it's got the weirdness in the characters that Firefly had. Obviously, a lot of dark paths that sort of seep to the surface, not just what they see on the screen telling them who they were, but also just like why they're distinct. One person is the gun guy, one person is good with swords, one of them is obviously mentally capable at a higher level than a lot of the other people. There's some flirtation between a couple of the characters. So it's got a good feel to it. It's still that sci-fi looking show. And again, it owes a lot to Firefly in much the same way Killjoys does. Now, I keep saying that, like Firefly was the first one. It wasn't. Firefly was just very distinct and was very popular after the fact. Unfortunately, not while it was actually on the network that was airing it. But I think as strange as it is that I might now be watching two sci-fi series when I have barely been able to get myself compelled to watch one all the way through a season for the last 15 years. So that's kind of a big deal. Is that I want to see the second episode of Dark Matter, and I still plan on going back and watching the third episode of Killjoys. So it's good. I would say that if Killjoys turned you off, it depends on why Killjoys turned you off.
I think it was more like because the first episode I had stopped it and then came back to it. Second episode I stopped it. I have yet to come back to it. Like it was just like I would start watching it and then think about what else I could do while I'm like what else I could be watching right at that moment.
Yeah, I
Sort of
mean,
thing.
I wouldn't say that it's something that draws my attention where I'm paying 100% attention to it, but I am watching it. And I'm not walking away from it and forgetting about it yet. But it's also not the first thing I go to on my DVR. I know, and as a matter of fact, when I went to go to it on the DVR, I said, oh, I should watch Dark Matter and see what the difference is. And they're distinct enough from each other that there are differences. Killjoys is a bounty hunters show, and Dark Matter at this point is more of a mystery than anything else so far. But we'll have the space of exploration, and we'll have them obviously doing missions of some sort. It's just how does it all work out? So I think they're complementary to one another. I think they're complementary to what Sci-Fi is trying to do as a station, as a network now. I'd say that if you like these kinds of shows, from what I've seen from these episodes, they're worth seeing. But if it's not what's drawing you in, then I can't say that. Like I said, Beatmaster said the third episode of Killjoys was the best one so far. I enjoyed the second episode a good amount, but I feel like with these kind of shows, even with Firefly, is like the first couple episodes were okay, and then it got better as it progressed over time because the writers found their voices and found more things that they could do. It was a while before we got to the part where River is freaking out at the shepherd because he let his hair down.
Yeah.
But nobody would ever trade that moment in that show. That was genius.
Hey Corey, here's how you can sell me on Dark Matter because I've been looking at the Wikipedia page while you've been talking about this, and it has Will Wheaton.
I had not seen Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton's a recurring character on there. That's how you
He
could have
wasn't
sold
in the
me on.
pilot, so let's put it that way.
Yeah. But no, because I was looking through, and a couple of them, I'm like, okay, they've been on other sci-fi shows that I've enjoyed. Like, The Android was on Lost Girl. But Jodelle Ferland, who's 5 in there, she was on quite a few things that I watched, like, growing up, and she's younger than me, which makes it sound
Yeah, exactly.
weird.
She's young.
She's 20 years old, and it's like, God, she's been acting forever. Like, she's been acting since '96, according to the Wikipedia page. But she was in what was it? She was in Twilight Saga, which was like okay, but whatever. But she was in Cabin in the Woods. She
Yes,
played,
but I don't remember her in Cabin in the Woods.
yeah, she played Patience Buckner, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then in the TV show side, she was in Dark Angel, John Doe, Smallville, a couple episodes of Supernatural.
Yeah, she's been in a lot of the genre fiction type stuff. The
Yeah.
other thing I like about both these shows is that, for the most part, at least the way that they've been presented so far, is that they both have females as the leads, as the leader characters.
Yeah.
Strong characters, but also, the ones who are the most take charge and have the most authority. Not necessarily the toughest, although that seems to be the case with Killjoy, is that Dutch is a badass. But in Dark Matter, the character who is number 2, she is, she's just the one who automatically starts taking charge of everything. She seems like she would be the captain of the crew, as it were. So I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah. No, see, I was looking at that one too. I think it was number 2. There's one of them. I'm like, wait, so one of them's a singer on here, or in the it's all I found was like the yeah, number 2. Unless it's like someone else who's also a Canadian performer, but it's like the one that pulled up is she was on Canadian Idol. She won it in 2005 and was the first female winner. I'm like, oh, hey, that's cool, but wait, where does you say anything about your acting? But yeah, so no, it looks. I think I'll check out Dark Matter, and I'll try to watch the other episode and a half of Killjoys before, especially since Beat saying the third episode it gets better. Um, just for that, aspect, like, okay, not just giving up on it because of me being lazy, but actually giving up for a valid reason.
Man, no one can tell you
Um,
more about being lazy when it comes to TV than me. I watched 4 consecutive Captain America movies.
um, but so, I want to talk about a movie I saw since you talked about your movies. And it's My Neighbor Totoro. It's my first time seeing a Studio Ghibli movie, full stop. And I enjoyed this. The song that opened it up was stuck in my head for a good long time afterwards. And it
It's
is
like
now as I'm
glitter or
reviewing the show.
STDs. It doesn't go away very
Oh
easily.
yeah, yeah. And besides glitter STDs, so aren't those the same thing basically? Just
That's true.
one's of the crafting world, and the other one's an actual STD.
If only there was a shot to get rid of glitter.
Yeah. But no, so Totoro, great, but it like because I had seen the thing on the Dan Cave where he's talking about there's the theory of that Totoro is actually a like it's supposed to be like this like parallel about like these kids dying or like kids dying or whatever, and they're all spirits. I'm like, I don't know, the episode it explains it a lot better than what I'm doing right now. But watching this, I'm like, that theory is completely wrong. Like like a slice of life of these kids who happen to see these spirits. They see the dirt spirits, I think is what they were that you see in the beginning, and then eventually Totoro and the cat car or the cat bus and all that stuff. And it's a great little movie. Like so much so that I'm wanting to watch other Studio Ghibli movies, which I feel like as a film guy I should want to watch anyways or have seen already.
They're quite popular. When I first moved to California, I was working at a comic store, Fantasy Books and Games, and we used to play movies on VHS. I don't know if you ever heard of those things. They were apparently hard to program. We used,
Dude, I got a whole bookcase full of nothing but VHSs.
yes, all the Disney ones, because who knows if they're going to go up in the vault again. It's the only way you can watch Song of the South. So we had each of us had our different things that we were into. Matt, who was one of the guys who'd worked there for a long time, was the anime manga guy. So he knew that stuff. I was the comic guy. I would want to watch the comic book movies, have those play in the background, the cartoons, tick episodes. But he would pop in things like Ranma or whatever. I don't think we could play Ranma because it's a little bit racy for the store. But he would definitely put in Totoro. And
Yeah.
I would be working in the store and hear the Totoro screaming voice stuff coming out, and it gave me quite the migraine. But in a good way. There's certainly cute films that Spirited Away. I don't remember if Mononoke is one of Ghibli's films
Yeah.
or not.
It's
But
it's Ghibli, but it's also I want to say Hayao Miyazaki as well.
yeah. So
Because I know it's one of the things like I'm wanting to do. I'm wanting to get go through all of the Studio Ghibli movies, but a few of them I'm like, wow, this could be an interesting one to do. Like I think it's the third one where it's basically all about all about World War II, like in Japan's involvement in World War II. I'm like, oh gosh, that's gonna be a tough one for me or something. But no, like all these look really good. Like, and it's not just Hayao Miyazaki in there that does them. Like he wrote a lot of them. Like he wrote and directed a good chunk of them. Like Ponyo is like one of the newer ones that he wrote and directed. And so it's like I'm like, yeah, it'd be an interesting challenge.
it's kind of like Another nation's Pixar before there was a
Yeah.
Pixar. They don't necessarily cross over, but there is that universal feel to the films, even with very different themes, where it's so kind of incredible that all this work is coming from the same creators. Uh, Don Bluth was probably the closest that we had to that once he left Disney and started doing his own movies, where you would go, oh, Don Bluth movie, because who else is animating films in America besides Don Bluth and Disney?
Yeah. But no, like, so, I mean, I really like My Neighbor Totoro. The only thing that could be labeled as a complaint is it seems like the quote unquote action of the movie doesn't happen until like the last 20 minutes or so. Like, it's all just very much slice of life in the beginning, following the younger daughter, and then, oh, she's gone, and the drama in there when you're already an hour in, like hour 10 into it, and you're like, wait, what's okay? This is a little bit different now, and you're sucked in, and but no, it's good, and it's one of those. It's reminding me that because I like everything, but it's just like I haven't watched a lot of anime in a long time because like nothing on Adult Swim and that they do anime wise has had interest me once they quit airing Fooly Cooly and like Trigun and Big O and the shows like that got me into it. It's already on like Full Metal Alchemist is another one of those. But yeah, I think that it's all the shows I want to talk about. Is there any other shows you want to talk about?
Well, I did watch the second episode of Mr. Robot. It was quite a jump from the first episode, but it kept in tune with it. Yeah, that was. I guess you saw it too.
Yep.
Tonally, I really love this show. I love the sort of bleakness of the main character, while also dealing with this confusion about what's going on and the should he or shouldn't he go deeper into this corporation, should he or shouldn't he go deeper into this hacker group, this activist hacker group, and the decisions that he's making that are affecting him in worse and worse ways, while having no faith in anything good and yet still somehow trying to do the right thing along the way and taking terrible care of his dog. I'm really taken with the show. This is getting to me in a way that like Fight Club I think got to a lot of people when it came out, and it's got comparisons to Fight Club I see come up from time to time, which makes me wonder if Mr. Robot is just a figment of this guy's imagination because he is kind of wonked out on the drugs. Fight Club with a hint of the Matrix, Beatmaster is saying, and that seems 100% it. But it's just so good and so weird at the same time. It's one of those things where it could have gone terrible if it hadn't been written so well. Like, it's one thing to sit there and have these ideas and say, we're going to do this and we're going to do this, but the realistic take it does with the hacking and the tech stuff and the care that it's put into how the character actually acts and what he does to justify the things that he does and the things that he doesn't do, it's done really well. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. The only other thing that I'll mention, because, again, this was my weekend, this is how poorly I made choices, I watched this teen vampire movie called Vampire Academy. Now, this is one of those book series that they tried to turn into a movie series that there was way too many of them. You know, Beautiful Creatures was out. What was the vampire one? The Cirque du Freak.
Yeah, Cirque du
with
Freak,
John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
You know, everything was trying to do what Twilight was doing at the time, and they make some disparagements of, like, vampires don't sparkle, but they have their own vampire fiction, so there's Dampiers and Morgul. I can't even remember all the words. It's just ridiculous. The only reason why I was interested in seeing this one, I remember when the commercials came out, was because it was one character was the vampire, and then the other character was her protector, and they were both female characters, and I found that very intriguing. is that, yes, there is the damsel in distress to a certain degree of one, even though she is a vampire princess and should have abilities to protect herself. But the fact that the hero who's protecting her is also a girl, and it's about their connection to each other, their friendship, and then they have a mental connection to each other. I thought that was kind of intriguing. I'm like, okay, I'll check this out. But so much of it is the basic high school in-clique kind of things with some vampire stuff thrown in to the side. The talking is just like they're spewing dialogue so fast. There's a lot of exposition. Like, we have to say these things because that's how it's said in the book. But what's read in a book doesn't work necessarily when it's spoken on a screen. The main character, the bodyguard character, I didn't know this as I was watching it, is Leah Thompson's daughter. So from Back to the Future and Howard the Duck and tons of things that I've seen Leah Thompson in Space Camp that I loved her growing up. Even her NBC show for a while. It was like, oh crap, no wonder this girl is actually really good, because she was great in it. Gabriel Byrne's in it, mostly forgettable. Sarah Hyland from Modern Family is in it as a overly nerdy character. They're sort of the low points. But the main two characters, I wouldn't have minded if the movie had been better around them, to see them kind of go on, to see this film get its sequels. Because I think there was something inherently there with them that if the story had at least, transferred a little bit better to the movies, it might have been okay. It was something I watched. That's as far as I can go. I wanted it to be better, even though I had no real investment in it. The people who were fans of the books were really cheesed off about it. They're like, oh, who would you cast? And I can't believe they put this person in there. I don't know. I don't think that you can expect much more from a movie like this.
Yeah.
But it was at least there was some little hints of something better there. And some sort of depth that I could definitely see these actresses winding up in other things and being looked at as being in better roles down the line. I guess the Leah Thompson's daughter, she was in a couple CW series, including she played the daughter of Sarah Michelle Gellar in the CW show Ringer, which I never watched, but at least that's some pedigree there too, is that she was Buffy's daughter in something. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and she was also on Disney Channel, The Sweet Life on Deck, as a character that I do not remember.
Yeah, she was girlfriend of one of the characters, but I don't know anything about that show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like, okay, if I'm going to give one of these movies a try, I'm not going to watch The Hunger Games, even though Aaron really took to them. I'm not going to watch any of these other teeny bopper movies. I sat through The Maze Runner because I thought maybe there could be something that was at least kind of action film oriented, and it had some cool stuff with maze. I like mazes, but then it just ended on such a nothing point of like, okay, we didn't give you any ending at all. We're just moving on to the next film as long as this one made enough money in the box office to get us there, which apparently it did. I wouldn't say that this was better than The Maze Runner or even as good as The Maze Runner, but I enjoyed the characters more, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I don't know. If you're forced to sit down and choose one of them, I would choose this one again. But I'm never watching it again.
No, yeah, I definitely tend to go to, like, for a lot of these movies that are overplayed, like these genres, like how we did have the vampires all coming out, or vampire movies all coming out at the same time. I do tend to go more towards the satirical, like let's make fun of it movies.
That was the other thing too, is that her character is one of those ones who keeps making quips. She's constantly being sarcastic and cutting people, and that was part of the appeal too, is that she was very funny. Mm-hmm. So that at least gave me someone to root for in it. I don't root for anybody in Twilight. I don't root for anybody in a lot of these other films. Just because you're the tragic, oh, woe is me, I'm so different, I'm a delicate individual flower, doesn't really make you special. That's at this point in time, that is your participation award.
Yeah.
Everybody feels that way as a teenager, and then they just re-emphasize it, and so they call you divergent. Because I don't have a set path. Nobody does, you asinine little child. I can't believe you mispander you in such a way. Shut up and burn in hell. Uh, yeah, I don't know, but this was at least more fun than that.
Yeah. Well, that just about wraps it up here for us, except for me to do the outro. And you can find more of us by following us on Twitter at EltsNerds. And you can check out our new webpage that is updated weekly at eltsnerds.com. And you can like our Facebook group at facebook.eltsnerds.com. And you can see the full back catalog right here on YouTube at watch.eltsnerds.com. And we record the show every Monday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. And hey, if you like us, you might like our friends. They just had Todd Whitehead, the creator, head honcho of Alpha Geek Radio over there on Galactic Netcast over at Sci-Fi Geeks Club. That's one of their good shows that they have there. And they also have other shows like Weird World Weekly and Alien Invasion and Adventure Party, and plus little net bites like the Splash Page and Who News and S Word and stuff like that. It's all really, really good.
Yeah,
And
I listened to the one from last week, the Sci-Fi Geeks Club, with Bonnie Burton, and it was
yeah,
just stellar. I mean, I talk a lot. I monopolize the conversation, and she does it way better than I do. Between her and Jan DeVoe, it was kind of like the JF and Bonnie show, which I would totally pay to see.
oh yeah,
It was so good, though. Like, Dave just knew. He's like, yeah, the idea of keeping this under a half hour to an hour is never going to happen with these guys, but it's worth it. It was totally worth it.
oh yeah,
Great listen the whole way through.
yeah. It's great. They have such great guests, and occasionally they get us schmucks on there as co-hosts, guest hosts. Well, I
Yeah,
forget what our
someone's got to
title
wreck
is.
the curve.
Yeah, yeah. Someone's gonna come in here thinking he knows something about comic books and wanting to chime in and stuff at random points in time, and then you got Corey, who actually does know some stuff, or at least fakes it really, really well.
I'm a faker.
Um, but yeah, so that wraps up here for us, and this has been a Don't Tell Glenn production. We will see you guys next time.
Take care, everybody.